just going to give a quick overview of things that you would run into in the customer-facing setting, whether it's pouring a glass of wine or doing a tasting. So we'll start with our glassware. So here at Rocklands, we use this Riedel Degustazione Restaurant Series white wine glass. And as you can see, the dishwasher a lot of times does not make it super duper clean as it should be. So we're just gonna clean this out a little bit. A lot of times this is done behind the scenes, especially on busier days. We can have a lot of these ready to go. It's also a good way to kill time if it's slow. And it's totally acceptable to do this in front of a customer if necessary. I think it reinforces the idea that they're getting top quality glass. Okay, so we got our glassware out. We're just gonna shine this puppy up a little bit. Go around the lip of the glass. These are nice glasses because they are, they get a nice feel to them, a pretty thin lip to them. Generally speaking, thicker lip glasses give off kind of like a cheap feeling. But these are also, they can hold up to a lot of punishment in the dishwasher and use over the year. And we have very few break. So great glass, I'm a big fan of it. We got a nice shiny glass. So first off, before we get into this bottle of sandstone, we are just gonna talk about glassware. So generally speaking, one glass per person, and if we're doing a tasting, we'll just pretend we're doing a tasting right now. And then we'll pretend like we're pouring a glass of wine. But there's really zero instances where you will need to touch any part of the glass outside of the stem or the base. You should never have to touch this part of the glass. The customer wants to do that, that's totally up to them. But if you need to move a glass or bring it out, you always want to be holding it by the stem. And if you need to move it on the table, you can either move it by the base or by the stem. Again, never by the bowl. So, we got a nice clean glass for our customer, and now let's open a bottle of wine. So we use these pretty simple waiter's corkscrews here. True Tap's a nice brand, $5 to $10 on Amazon. This is something that all tasters, tasting room associates should have in their pockets at all times, and great way to open a bottle of wine anywhere. So we're gonna take out our worm here. That's our little pokey spirally thing. And whether the customer ordered this bottle of sandstone or whether this is part of the tasting, it's probably already open if it's for the tasting, but we always want them to be seeing the front label of the wine. So that's when the bottle comes out, when it's being opened. As much as possible, keep that front label face towards them. And also as much as possible, I like to keep the bottle on the table, even encourage the customer to handle it. They can check it out. Hey, look on the back, it's Cabernet Franc and Petit Verdot. So let's go ahead and open it up. So we can zoom in here a little bit. This is where you want to grab the bottle. You can grab it by the neck. If you grab it down here, you're absconding the label, and you're also going to have less control over the bottle when you're opening it. So we grab it here by the neck. We don't use foils on our wine here at Rocklands, so that's another step that you don't have to worry about. You don't have to use the tool here on the corkscrew to open the foil. That's not necessary. So go back to this. So we'll keep that bottle of wine face towards the customer, and then I try to get that point there right into the middle, and you kind of angle it in there, and then give it just like one little turn, and then it kind of stands on its own after a turn or a turn and a half. And so in real time, what this looks like is I'm gonna start going down like this, and keep in mind, you want to keep the bottle kind of up here as much as possible. None of this. We don't want to pull it down here, especially.
Let's see that one more time.
Like this. Yeah, like pull it down here. So there's, we should always keep it above counter height. We can open it like this, and you want to go down until you don't want to go all the way, otherwise the cork is gonna, or the worm is gonna poke through the bottom of the cork, and that's gonna put a little bit of cork sediment into your wine, and we don't want that. So usually it's about one spiral from the top for at least the corks here at Rocklands, and then we are going to, it's these 2 level corkscrews. So you want to use this higher level, it kind of folds in like that, and then we are going to give it 1 pull like that. That's going to get you to the first level, and then you bring it back down, and then now you're going to be able to reach that second level to finish out the wine. So this is, I'm going to stop here just for a minute. Once you get to this point and you're holding the wine like this, another etiquette tip is to, as the cork comes out, if you pull it out really fast, it's gonna make a pop noise. Generally speaking, that's not what you want. It's just not proper etiquette in opening a bottle of wine. So you can really take it really just with your hand here, and you can just gently pull it out like that. You shouldn't hear any sound at all when you pull out the cork. Keep the label faced towards the customer. And then one thing, if you're a little bit more advanced with your knowledge of wine, it is completely acceptable at this point to either or both look at the cork, examine it, make sure that there's no rot or like excessive seepage of the wine up the cork, and even give it a quick smell. It should smell pretty neutral. And then also just kind of putting the wine right across your nose, and you can get just a smell of the wine. We only have, you guys should be pretty familiar with the wines that we have here, so you probably, especially if you've worked here for a while, know what the wines are supposed to smell like. We do this because we don't, occasionally in maybe 2-3% of the wines, the cork might have gone bad and the wine could be corked. We're not going to get into what that means, but it would give off a kind of a musty, wet dog basement smell. It's very off-putting, and it would be a shame to pour a customer that without knowing ourselves first that there was a problem with the wine. So it smells fine to me. So we're gonna pour just the tasting portion here. And so notice that we don't have any pour tops or anything like that. We pour about a 3/4 ounce pour here, more or less. And what that looks like is just right about like that. And you notice there's no dripping. If there is a drip, there actually is a drip coming down. You can use just a little paper towel to wipe it off. You can use your finger. If it drips on the label, it's not that big a deal. We just don't want to drip any on the glass. But again, if there is, it's not, you don't need to discard the glass or anything, but simply you can take a cloth and wipe that down. So that's a tasting pour right there. Customer will enjoy that. If you have the bottle accessible, you can keep the bottle on the table for them to look at. If they wanted a glass of wine, we are going to pour a glass of wine now. So we pour 5.5 ounce glasses of wine here at Rocklands. For this glass, it is roughly, if you can see, kind of there's an apex of these hips on the glass to where it hits the side and then kind of comes back in. So it's really right at that apex is going to be about a 5.5 ounce pour. So let's go ahead and do that. So that looks about right to me. You kind of see it's right at where it kind of comes back in, and that's what you want to go for there. So if a big group comes in, let's say this happens a lot, or a tasting, if the customer maybe is distracted and they're talking to their friends and you need to move their glass, again, we're not doing this, whether the glass is empty or whether the glass is full, we're not even doing that. You can simply either alert the customer just to shift over, or you can move their glass like so. because there's no need to touch the bowl of the glass. Some people might find it a little offensive. So, any other etiquette issues we should cover here, or is that about covered?
How about if a bottle's about to be finished, or you don't have enough in the bottle for a full glass? Should you use the rest of the bottle and then open up a new bottle to finish the glass, or should you?
Yeah, you can finish up the bottle. Right now, we only have one wine, the Ancestry, where you would be kind of, or maybe the Farmhouse actually shows a little bit of sediment at the bottom. If there's any wines that show sediment at the bottom, just be aware of that. But it's acceptable and it's proper etiquette to finish up a bottle and then open a new bottle to finish the glass pour. We're going to look at just a little more in depth of how to pour the bottle properly and to limit or completely eliminate dripping, because we do not have a little pour spout intentionally. So whether you're pouring a tasting or a glass pour, it's pretty crucial when you get to the end of that pour to eliminate the dripping. So let me show you a couple of tricks. So first off, you want to hold the bottle really where you feel comfortable. The only no-go here is holding it like this. So remember, we held the bottle like this when we were opening it. You'd never want to grab the neck of the bottle to pour it. So we're gonna hold it where we feel comfortable. It's like well balanced. For me, that's about right here on this bottle. So let's do a tasting pour, and you can notice the height of the pour, but we're mainly gonna focus on right now kind of how we kind of spin the bottle as we finish finish the pour. So check it out. There you go. So you probably won't be able to eliminate all the dripping, but what we can do is I like to have a little cloth in the back. Didn't have one ready. You can have just like a little rag that you can use for this, or even just like a little paper towel, and kind of, again, I'll try another tasting pour here. So, and you can just do that. That's totally acceptable, but it's also not the end of the world if it drips a little bit on the label. We just want to avoid something like this, to where, notice if I don't spin the bottle, what happens here. Or if I'm really hesitant about if I'm really trying to pour a little bit, watch what happens here. See that? That's just a disaster. So you kind of have to go into it with confidence enough. So you have to kind of put it, kind of go all in on the pour, give that spin at the end. You still might get a small drip, but this is what we want to avoid here. Is there's wine all over the table, all over the customer's glass. That's not what we want. So anyway, that's all I got.